everybody! Stoner Broad is here. Today's Stoner Broad is a sad though. Because sad things are happening. Sad things are happening here on YouTube. Now, first of all, not the end of the world. Love you guys. This is such a first world problem. It really, really is. YouTubers are, as a unit, seemingly being targeted for removal by YouTube and thus by extension Google in order to mollify the advertising agencies who are driving this entire winnowing due to seeking advertiser-friendly content. First of all, does anybody really give a shit if a bunch of YouTubers get thrown off YouTube? The answer to that is, outside of the YouTubers who are doing this and their fans, if you want to dismiss that much hard work by this many hard people in that way, that's for you to decide, not me. Personally, I think that that's not a good road to go down. But once upon a time, YouTube was not a Google service. Once upon a time, someone created a website called YouTube so that, with the intention of allowing everyday people like me and you and poor Stoned Alone, who has had his entire accounts deleted with no recourse by Google, I don't know what to say to that.
It's a historical precedent.
It is a historical precedent, as my partner points out. His entire body of work has been summarily removed and wiped.
It's his digital identity.
By Google. I actually saw a screenshot from him that looks like Google was going to actually shut down his entire Google account. I don't know what happened with that. Now this starts to sound like a much more serious matter. Because remember, at the end of the day, YouTube was created to give what we'll call, in the terminology that some older people will understand, young video enthusiasts could promote and share their work. Their work which was not welcome anywhere else, frankly. Their work that was dismissed as worthless and useless by the television networks that ruled and decided what people got to see based on how much money was thrown at them. It's easy to forget now that we have the diversity of entertainment options that we have now. That once upon a time, there were only 3 networks. You had 3 television channels to choose from for new content. Local stations, they ran syndicated stuff. They ran all TV shows.
No budget.
No budget, no money. They were lucky they were able to keep up a local newsroom. No, the big 3, American Broadcasting Company, the National Broadcasting Company, and CBS, who I can't remember what they are. They're the Central Broadcasting Company.
Yeah.
were the only outlets for new content.
Tastemakers for our society.
They were beyond tastemakers, they were gatekeepers.
Yes.
And those networks decided what you got to see, largely based on what the lowest common denominator will watch. Not programming that would be in any way educational or edifying or even interesting.
Certainly not
Just
progressive.
what will serve the largest number of people, because it's all about how many eyeballs you can get in front of the advertisement. This reaction to this was cable television, where at first you could do things that were unthinkable on network television, like swear, frontal nudity.
Woohoo.
Oh, I remember this, the shock of boobies on television.
Giggle.
Skinemax, Cinemax late night. You couldn't see anything today that you wouldn't be able to show in a PG-13 movie.
Mm-hmm.
But back then, now all of these changes in society and what's become more and more acceptable is, as a whole in our society, has been driven largely by that. The American dream is largely based in this fictional 50s universe that the baby boomers created, where car hops bring you a fresh burger on a bun baked that morning, and everything is happy and wonderful, and lawns are green and children are smiling and happy, and none of it ever happened. It only happened in the minds of men on Madison Avenue, because they wanted to tempt people with a dream they could almost reach. Because if you buy this product, it will help you reach that dream that's just around the corner. That's a lie. That's a lie told in the name of commercialism. In the name of planned obsolescence. In the name of keeping up with the Joneses. That's not who we are. That's who they are. That's what they don't understand. But aside from that, what we must consider at this juncture is not whether Google is going to decide to exclude people from YouTube, because that decision's already been made. The question is now, how much influence do we permit Google to have over our change and growth in society? Do we want YouTube to become NBC, who are to this day bleeping swear words on late night television because they think you can't handle the word fuck? None of this is reality. None of this is what we want. That's why YouTube was created in the first place. Because there were people who were both everyday, average hobbyists and who didn't want to look at it anymore. It stopped being entertaining decades ago. Look at Disjointed. Look at Disjointed. You know what Disjointed's crime is? Disjointed's only crime is being an outmoded style. It's just not funny anymore. Now, is what Logan Paul's doing funny? Fuck no. Okay? And, you know, frankly, shit like that should not be going on where children can see it. Frankly, I think way too many children have cell phones these days, but that's just me. There is very much the big argument of, well, we don't want the children to see this. Well, why are your children on the internet without supervision? You know, this is not a playground out here. You can't just hand your kids a cell phone and pretend that they're not going to find anything harmful. You know, that Goats SE site is still out there, boys and girls. You know, the internet is not a playground for children, and if we want to allow our children to use the internet, we have to look at creating a playground that is safe for them. And that's something that some of the big players are creating. Things like the auto-installed Netflix for Kids channel. And YouTube, I've noticed, has started a separate app called YouTube Kids. Fantastic. Because you know what? You don't want the kids seeing this stuff. But you know what? We're not all children. Some of us want to choose what we watch ourselves, and not based on what Ford thinks are their most likely audience for buying some Freudian nightmare of a pickup truck that 80% of people don't need anyway. Do you really? It's just like, that's not what we want, that's not who we are, and that's not why YouTube exists. YouTube exists where the others failed on the internet because they didn't create the content that has driven us to the internet in the first place.
You
Now,
tell them, Becky.
Google is understandably searching for a way to make this work on a fiscal level. I understand that. I understand that Google has, from what I've been read, Google has approached multiple companies several times about advertising directly through YouTube or its many channels of advertising. I mean, let's not pretend Google doesn't have a selection at this point. And the companies not wanting to handle their own advertisement of themselves have then instructed Google, shall we say, to talk to their advertising men, who have always handled their advertising. But the advertising guys don't know how to deal with YouTube, because YouTube doesn't want to follow the rules. YouTube doesn't want to cater to the lowest common denominator. That's not who we are. If we were, YouTube wouldn't exist, because we'd be happy with NBC, CBS, and ABC. Unfortunately, the guys on Madison Avenue don't know how to frickin' cope with selling stuff to the millennials. Well, guess what? You can't, because the millennials don't want to buy stuff. Stop. I am going to make this plea directly to, the folks who work in advertising. You are going to destroy this market if you continue to push it this way. You will turn it into the same 3 dead markets that you have on broadcast network television. Back off. You have plenty of places to advertise on the internet. The small ads running before, we're perfectly fine with. Most content creators are perfectly happy to have a Ford ad run in front of their content. No, the breaking here is happening at your end, Madison Avenue, because you are demanding that we fit our content to your rules. Your rules, by your rules, YouTube should not exist. Isn't that why you've been ignoring it all these years? Isn't it? And now that you don't understand it, you're going to break it? Google, you're better than this. You are better than this. Frankly, I have been defending Google for a great many years. I remember when you guys got started. I remember when the Google page served under its logo every single click the words, "Don't be evil." I think you guys need to put that back up because you seem to have forgotten how it works. Do I think YouTube are evil for throwing a few stoners off their channel? No, that's ridiculous. That's a straw man argument, and I'm not going to pursue it. I am greatly concerned, however, by the screenshot I saw of a notice from Google accounts stating that someone's account was being shut down. Now, a lot of us rely on Google Mail, particularly, for a lot of things in our real life. I have medical matters tied to my Google accounts. Now, Google, you made this possible. You made it easy. You made it almost necessary for us to give you this information. And we gave it to you because we trusted you. Do not betray that trust now, Google. Because right now, I'm thinking I have to decentralize everything that I have kept with Google. Because Google can no longer be trusted to not decide to delete all of my information without recourse. There has to be a better way to do this. Does Google get to decide what I do now? Does Google get to decide what I speak about? Now, this is a private platform, and I'll be the first to tell you that. I've been arguing this particular argument with people since AOL 3.0. While you are using Google services, you are playing by Google's contracts. Those terms and agreements that nobody reads, they're still in effect. And while it's Google's sandbox, it's Google's rules. And that's understandable. So this is not what people would call censorship, because censorship is government censorship. That's what there's laws against. Google is a private entity, and they're allowed to censor us in their own way, on their own property. And the question I put to you is not, should we be concerned that weedtubers, that kids who smoke pot are being tossed off WeedTube? No, but we should be fucking concerned that Google is starting to decide what you get to see. Now, Google is holding us all a lot of our information, and we have given Google that information on the basis of trust. We've understood that Google was selling that information. Anyone who didn't was purposely keeping their eyes closed to it. But are you going to start deciding what we say to each other? Because that's not acceptable. And that's what YouTube is. It is not a broadcast platform for the advertisers. It is a conversation between the video users and the viewers. And if you're going to start censoring that, it's very simple. We have to go somewhere else. Because if you are going to decide that we can't say what we need to say, we can't stay here. And that doesn't apply just to YouTubers, not just to WeedTubers, I mean. That applies to everyone, including the pretty girls who do nothing but put makeup on all day. Look, see, I tried. Do I get points? Sorry, that was, I'm just being sarcastic, girls. What you do is awesome. So that's what I want to say, and this is one of the reasons why I've been posting the link for the GoFundMe for the new site called The WeedTube. That's being run by some very big name Mac and Aaron here in the WeedTube community on YouTube. And we are going to create our own platform because, frankly, YouTube can't be trusted as a platform in that right now. For the first time, I think, ever, my trust in Google is seriously shaken. And I'm going to start diversifying my accounts. Maybe it's time to start looking again at setting up my own email server. Maybe it's worth the trouble now. In the end, you'll find in a link down here the link to the WeedTube GoFundMe. They're on Twitter, they're on Insta, they're on Snapchat, they're everywhere. Go, give if you can, share if you can't. And if you're not part of the WeedTube community, I'm going to ask you to do the same. Because how much longer is it before they come for you? Think about that before you insert your catchphrase here.